What up? What up? What up? This is Mike the Philosopher here with another one. This is Make a Move. I got a special guest, y'all. YoYo is in the building, okay? And she has seen the show too. So I always like another perspective so that people don't think I'm, just one way. I'd like to hear it from somebody else's perspective. If you like to join us on this discussion, hit me in the email, blackmanrankings@gmail.com. All right. We could all, chop it up and talk about it. And that goes for the Ready to Love season that's coming out too. That's going to be out, I believe, on the 12th of January. So, we're going to keep talking about it, see how things go. How you doing, Yo-Yo?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
That's
good.
what's
I'm
up.
ready to talk about this crazy show.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the show in general first of all. What did you think about this whole format of Make a Move compared to Ready to Love, compared to I don't know if you've seen the Love Experiment or whatever, but what do you think about the format of Make a Move?
So I think they're on to something, but it needs to be tweaked a little bit. The whole idea, and I think the whole premise of the show kind of changed from what we thought it was going to be in terms of folks moving, which to me was totally unrealistic to expect someone to make a decision in such a short period of time to
Right.
move to another city. I mean, these are grown folks with careers and businesses, and you can't just up and move. So to me, that was not realistic. Maybe if they had folks within the same city, it would
Hmm.
kind of make more sense. But I think they're on to something. I think if they Tamika, is that the host? I
Yeah,
think if
Tamika.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think if they bring in maybe a more experienced type therapist type coach type person that can kind of coach them along the process and maybe vet these people a little bit better, because I'm not sure any of these women are truly ready. That was just kind of my opinion.
I'm glad you say it, so I didn't have to say it. But
They frustrated me. They frustrated me the entire season.
yeah, let me ask you this. What was it about Tamika? You don't think that she did a good job? She not experienced enough,
No,
or what was she missing?
I think she was too surface level. I think she and I don't think she necessarily paired these women up with guys that were a true match. Now I do think the whole Maurice and Sharice, I think in theory that should work in theory.
Right.
Um, but I just think if they had someone truly coaching the women and guiding them, and maybe having, more feedback from the men as well as the ladies, I think it would prove to be a tad bit more beneficial. And I'm not sure this show is authentic as they want us to believe. That's problem is.
Bars, bars.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what do you think the whole? Uh, how do you think the men feel about this? Just your guess. How do you think the men feel about this format?
I don't think the men. For one thing, I don't think that there were too many instances where these men thought one thing and things were switched up. And I can believe that because the whole premise of the show changed for the audience. The whole premise of the show changed. So
Hmm.
I can imagine that the producers weren't necessarily forthcoming with the men. And it, to me, the whole thing was sort of like out of order, because that's just not the natural order of things in terms of a woman picking a guy. And if the guy's not really feeling her, it's just not going to work. So you saw that play out with Ashley and what was the guy?
Don.
No, not Don. The other guy that she was really, really feeling, but
Oh,
he
Tristan. Tristan.
yeah, and so that was a perfect example of this this woman really into this guy, but he wasn't really into her. And
Hmm.
so I think that in most instances, a guy chooses. So this was kind of it was a little bit out of whack. That's why I say I think they need to tweak it a little bit, because there needs to be this sort of mutual sort of picking, in terms of the guys picking the women that,
So would you say that it needs to be same format as Ready to Love as it is now, or do you think that the roles should reverse and the men should be more of the choosers and the pickers like the women are and Make a Move? Like,
think
would
it
you be okay with it being the reverse, or just leave it the Ready to Love way?
I think this is good because it's fewer people and you get to see more dates, and it there's an opportunity for a relationship to grow more organically because it's fewer people. But this is the problem also that I had with the show. I don't know one thing about Ashley. I don't know one thing about Zadia. I don't know anything about these women,
Hmm.
because none of that came out in this
Right,
format. I
right,
don't know,
right.
if you think about all of the dates that they went on, it was so surface level that I know nothing about any of these women. And what's funny, you actually found out more about the guys than you did about the women, which you didn't really find out much, but they didn't really talk about much on the date. So I don't.
I think a lot of them were. It seemed like the executive producers or whoever were counting on you knowing who these women were from Ready to Love episodes. Now, if you haven't watched Ready to Love episodes, you're not gonna know nothing about these women, right? And they
That's
should have.
true.
And you're right. They should have went ahead and uh let the audience know who these women were more than what they did, instead of assuming that we know who these women are. They should have, kind of let the audience get to know the ladies a little bit more. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even, but it was kind of like, when I think back, Ready to Love, because I remember I watched the first season of Ready to Love with Ashley. Um, I did not watch Vernicia's season, so I knew nothing about Vernicia. Um,
Oh,
but even
okay.
with Zadia and Charisse, even from the Ready to Love seasons that they were on, I can't say that these women were really vulnerable to kind of like reveal any kind of like deep level anything about themselves.
Hmm. I was covering some Ready to Love seasons prior, so I seen all of these ladies in action. I had some other guests on there too helping me out. Shout out to Rochelle, Tamara, um, uh, some other ladies out there that helped me review those shows. But if I haven't watched those and if I haven't covered those, I wouldn't know who these ladies are either.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
had a good idea. Charisse was a train wreck from day one on Miami. Ashley, I always liked Ashley. Ashley was on the first season of Ready to Love, so she was old school OG with RTL. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Vern, I seen hers too, and I didn't think that she uh, was treated well on her season. I think she chose a guy, and Joel. It's another long story. I'm just giving you a little bit background of him. And she dated a guy named Joel. Joel was a good guy. Um, Joel was a widower. His wife passed away, I think, due to cancer. So he came on the show. He started dating Vernicia, and they seemed to hit it off. Everybody was rooting for him until around the end, Joel started to act a little funny time and act a little like, like he wasn't ready to choose her. So everybody kind of felt Vernisha. Vernisha got a lot of sympathy from the audience, and that's how that season ended. Everybody kind of walked away thinking that she deserved to be treated better. So
So
um,
he did not pick her.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did end up picking each other.
Oh,
I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since this is just the part that I remember,
mm-hmm,
but they were working out well up until the end, and I think it just didn't go well. I think Joel ended up being a bit of a player, if I remember correctly, and he started getting offers from women left and right. So he was like, I'm good on Vernisha.
mm-hmm.
So that's how her thing is. And there is a community of women who will always, see things from the female perspective. So they all had Vernisha back, obviously, and I get it. But even me, I have Vernisha back too because I thought that Joelle could have treated her better in that
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit. Cherie, she was just always very self-centered. She didn't seem to mind insulting other people. She just not very good relationship material in my eyes, especially on her season of RTL. Um,
She was a
she's
mean girl. I mean,
she's a mean girl. Yeah,
she didn't, and she doesn't play well with other women.
she
And
don't play well with other people.
well, that's true. That's true. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, as a woman, that's sort of like the first, um, your first relationships. You come up, your relationship with your mom, and then your relationship with your friend girls. And I just saw her as someone that, to your point, she doesn't play well with anybody. But with the women, there's just something about women that trigger her. And I would be curious to know her history in terms of, she seems like she's always been in competition with other women. Like there's never been sort of like this camaraderie type. um I don't sense that with her when it comes to other women. And it's always like with Charisse, she's just like a second from like going off. And when she is like a ticking time bomb, it's like, and I can just see it being in a relationship with her. It almost would be like you walking on eggshells because you just don't know what's going to trigger her. And when she goes off, she just goes completely off. And I think she was working real hard to put forth, a good face for Maurice. And because I think she really, really, that's the type of guy that she really, really wants.
Hmm.
Um, and so, and again, Charisse is very surface level, very, very surface level. The fact that this guy looked a certain way, this guy dressed a certain way, this guy checked all of the boxes in terms of a successful guy. And I didn't see her doing much to dig down deep in terms of getting to know who Maurice really is and to determine, okay, from a character perspective, is he really a good guy? But she was more concerned about, okay, we can fly here and we can fly there. He had the labels, he did all of that. But I must say, it was a good, to see him with his daughter. I think that did reveal a lot in terms of who Maurice is. So I can't say that Maurice, from what I saw, I think Maurice is a good guy. But I think Charisse is the type of woman that would embarrass him because I don't see
Hmm.
him as being the type of guy that wants this, very loud, very boisterous, very, this woman that's just gonna go off and start cursing. And folks, I just don't see him as being that type of guy. He's a very classy guy. He's an attorney. He has a profession, I'm sure, that he has to protect at all costs. And so I just, Sharice just would have to do a lot of work. She shows up, and the package looks really, really good on the outside, but what's beneath, ooh, she's a ticking time bomb. She really is.
Yeah, yeah, I thought the same thing. And were you surprised that she chose Maurice or no? And did she decided to move, or were you not surprised?
I wasn't surprised that she chose Maurice. I think Sharice is 44. I think she sees the window closing. I think she unfortunately, she leads with a lot of superficial everything, looks and everything, and
Mhm.
so that's what she's using that in terms of trying this last ditch effort to get the guy, again, the guy that checks all of the boxes. And I'm sure that's the type of guy that Sharice has dated since the beginning. And Sharice is a very attractive woman. She's 44, so I can only imagine, in her 20s and her 30s, she was a very attractive woman. And so, with that, I'm sure she, and being in Miami, I'm sure she, maybe attracted athletes or, those types of guys that could, afford to show her a good time. But you have to go deeper and you have to look at the character of a person. And I think she's repeated this cycle over and over and over with guys, and it's like, Sharice, you need to flip it, you need to do something different. And
Exactly.
so, yeah.
What
And
do you what did you think about Maurice as do you think that he's a good match for her, or what type of guy do you think is a good match for Charisse?
I really do think that Maurice was a good match for her because, you know, he's a very successful guy. I think he's, seeing him with his daughter and seeing how his cousin spoke. I think Maurice is a stand-up guy. Now the problem is, I'm sure Sharice wants kids. I don't know if he would want to, start all over and have kids. But the problem is Sharice. It's like you have these women and they have some idea of the guy that they want, but at the same time, what are you bringing to the table? And so
Right.
see Maurice as the type of guy that Maurice is very polished.
Mhm.
And you notice he's very quiet, but I think Maurice can go deep. But see, Sharice couldn't go deep, and so I think he probably understood, Sharice's limitations. And so for me, of course, she would be, arm candy, of course, but um, Sharice she needs to go do some work. I think if Sharice could kind of rein it in a little bit in terms of, because she was very, when she was with the daughter, she was very nice. She was very likable. And the thing
Mhm.
about it is, Sharice was actually more likable on this particular show than she was on the previous show. There were
Right.
times where you could see she was trying to be a little vulnerable, but Sharice has such walls built up, just such walls built up, and until she can get past all of that, whatever trauma, whatever she's dealing with, and just come and just be her true, authentic, vulnerable self, she's just gonna have a really, really hard time because
Right.
there's a coldness, there's a real coldness with her.
Mhm.
She's very stoic. She's just very, like, she's so guarded. She is so guarded.
I agree 100%. You dropping jewels, yo. Sharice is very guarded. She's very, and I said something similar to that too. She's just very guarded, and she kind of comes off as a woman with trauma. I don't know where that trauma comes from. Only she knows that. But I see someone in the comments. I guess she's from Miami. Um, and I don't know. She just comes off with a woman with a lot of trauma that don't trust people. She don't like to hug. Don't touch me here. This, that, and the third. Now she did get a little cuddly with Mizell for a little while,
Mhm.
and she is trying to bring that to Maurice. But you're right, she is a very superficial woman. At the same time, she's guarded, so uh she doesn't play well with others. She do insult other women. It's something she got against other women. I think she wants to be what could be considered the alpha woman in every situation. Kind of wants to be the head woman. She kind of has this popular girl, schoolgirl mentality where she has to be the center of attention, whether it's for good or for bad, whatever the case may be. Just a lot of ego too. She just
Oh
has a
yeah,
lot of ego. Yeah,
she
she has
does,
a
because there's an air of superiority with her, like she thinks she's better, and that's, it's hard when you're talking about, being in a relationship with other women, because it's not a competition. When there's a true friendship, it's not a competition, because guess what, there's going to always be somebody that's better looking, that's got a nicer body, that's this, that, and the other, right? So when you get to the point where you're just comfortable, and at her big old age, she should be comfortable and in her own skin and whatever she needs to do. Because honestly, I was like rooting for Sharice, honestly, like, because in that last season, Sharice was just, oh, she was mean. But coming to this show, I found myself kind of rooting for her and just hoping that she could turn the corner. But she just has a lot of work to do. She has a lot of, I mean, there were moments where you could see her, little glimpses of kind of softness and a kindness with her, but it's like you just waiting for that moment where something's gonna just like pop her off.
yeah.
And
I find that kind of not odd, but very I don't know, not suspicious, but I find it kind of different that women are rooting for Charisse. It's kind of puzzling to me. I know there's another YouTuber named Crystal. She says she's rooting for Charisse too. She has a soft place in her heart, and I heard you say you were rooting for Charisse, and I'm wondering why is it such a soft place for this bad girl? I don't get it.
because I don't think that Sharice has ever had an opportunity to have genuine relationships with other women that could support her, and women that could really speak truth to her in love. I just don't think that she's ever had that. So there's a part of me that really feels sorry for her. And honestly, it was something with this particular show, because the last show, I was like, Sharice is just, oh, she was just, yeah, she was a,
Hmm.
really, really a mean girl. But there were just moments that you saw glimpses of what Sharice could be. And I think if she
Right.
just worked, I think, yeah, I think on paper, her and Maurice, when you think about, he's an older guy, what she needs, because Sharice needs that calmness. She needs that, somebody
That
that can
that yin
kind
to
of,
her yang, huh?
yeah, that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that kind of level her out. But at the same time, I don't think that it's anybody else's job to level anybody out. There needs to be sort of like this self monitoring, right? That we all do for ourselves, because we're not kids, we're grown.
Right,
So
right.
there shouldn't be somebody that has to calm me to the point where I can't calm myself, or I don't have the wherewithal to not even let myself get riled up, because she allowed Zadia to get her riled up like every time, every
Hmm.
single time,
Hmm.
and Zadia knew what buttons to push with her. And it was just so clear to see. It's like, girl, you are 44. Why is it that you allow folks to just get you so turned up so quickly? So she's got to be able to kind of keep that in check, you know?
In a reunion, the host said that they are that the two are very similar. That's why you know, they beef with each other. Um, Let me ask you this: what did you think about Zadia keeping Cam?
Again, she's just, Cam is a good guy. I think Cam is a good guy, but Zadia, she fumbled at every turn with him. And I think the problem with Cam is this. Cam is having a hard time seeing how Zadia fits in his life. He's having a really, really hard time because, at every turn, she was trying to force him in a direction that he did not want to go. And
Mm-hmm.
so instead of her just understanding, if the man says, listen, I have a plan, I have a vision, and it's going to take me X amount of time to accomplish these things. I think Cam is a very analytical guy. I think Cam is a very deliberate guy. I think he's very intentional
Mm-hmm.
and he's disciplined. He's all of those things. And I think that Cam is going to be um, down the road, just like he says, he's going to be very successful in anything that he does. First of all, he has a doctorate degree in pharmacy. So that in itself is an accomplishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for him to have gone through, and I'm assuming he went to Xavier University in New Orleans because they have a school of pharmacy. So I assume that he did that. And so that in itself is an accomplishment. And so, but that's not enough for him. So he's trying to do all of these other things. And so, in terms of Zadia just kind of like sitting back and, understanding that there's a time and a season for everything. And the guy is telling, and I truly, a lot of people say he didn't like her, but I do think that he did like her. And I think that's why he had such anxiety and it was just so hard for him um to get her to understand. And it came across, I think, to most people that he didn't like her, but I didn't think that he didn't like her because it wouldn't have bothered him so much if he really didn't like her. But I think Zadia made it really, really hard for him to see how she would fit in his life because
Mm-hmm.
Zadia was very inflexible. She was just very sort of like, okay, I want this, I want this, and I want this, and I could just see her at every week she bring up the same thing
Mm-hmm.
about him
Mm-hmm.
moving and about this, and I'm just like, will you stop? The man has already said he's not moving to DC. So she wasn't able to, okay, what's the balance, what's the middle ground? But she was never willing to just come to him and say, okay, well, how she never asked, how can we make this work? She never
Right.
asked him.
Zadia, in my opinion, is the definition of demonetized. Okay. I'm just keeping it 1,000 right now because let me tell you, there is no way she should have chose this guy to to start a relationship with. He told her in so many ways he is not ready. He is not there. He said, if you want to find somebody else who got more time, go do that. Um, she refuses to let this guy go. She got a chokehold on this dude, and I don't care how many innuendos, hints, whatever this guy give her, she is not going to let him go.
So let me
So
ask you, do
go
you
ahead.
think do you think that he really liked her?
No,
You
I
don't think
think
he liked
I think I think Zadia is a jump off. Okay, I'm
her?
just keeping it
I
real.
I do believe that they something
Yeah,
happened.
you do believe that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
and I said this weeks ago. I said this about a month ago. Okay, and it came out with Sharice while I was on vacation. I was like, oh shit, like I was right about that. But um, she there is Cam has a lot of the things that Zadia wants. Number one, she wants a doctor. Okay.
Mm.
Number two, she wants a guy who probably can dematize her like he did. Number three, she likes a guy with his height. She likes a guy who kind of confident, got options. She likes a lot of things about Cam. So now that she
Yeah.
got her perfect guy on paper, She is ignoring every red flag this guy is giving her. Okay. Um, I don't think that Cam is going to put in, now that the cameras are gone, cameras, you know what I'm saying. But not that now that the cameras are gone, I don't think Cam is really going to really be checking for Zadia, even if she's calling him. You know, while she's where is she from?
She's from
Uh
DC.
she
Yeah,
from
she's from
DC.
DC.
Yeah, she gonna be calling him from DC. He gonna be in New Orleans. He ain't gonna be answering that phone. He
But
gonna
did you see the first thing she said to him was for him to come to DC? And I'm sitting there, he's
yeah,
already told you.
yeah,
He
he
doesn't
not
have time to deal with you in New Orleans. That was the very first thing that she said. I can't wait for you to come to DC. And I'm just like, girl, stop.
I
Just stop.
know. It's almost as if she's forcing herself on him, you know. She's trying to make it work. Now, a part of me think it's a bit admirable, but at the same time, it's like, look, this is why. And then if it don't work out, and Cam, you know, maybe cheat on her or whatever the case, then men ain't ish. That's how Zadia is going to respond. Then it's going to be all the men's fault. Look, I'm gonna say this to the ladies. Sometimes you gotta read clues, okay? You gotta read clues, just like men gotta read clues with women too. We all gotta read clues on what's going on. And right now, Zadia is just clueless because she demonetized. She got blinders on, however you want to call it, and she is not picking up on the red flags. Even Charisse said that she's not surprised that Zadia chose Cam and that she thought that Zadia settled. Okay, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't think that was I don't think that was the right choice of words that she settled because again, I think Cam is I think Cam's a good guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the one thing that he did not do is he did not tell her what she wanted to hear. He continued to stick to his guns and he continued to tell her the truth over and
Mhm.
over and over. But to me, what doesn't make sense is Zadia wants what she wants. And it's okay for her to want what she wants. But you can't enter into this person's life and all of a sudden try to mold it into what you want when it's what this person really does not want. That doesn't make
Mhm.
sense to me.
Right.
That's just crazy logic. So if to your point, I do think he liked her, but I also think that if Zadia could have just dialed it back a little bit, because every time she was in his face, in his face, in his face. And I don't know if you recall 1 or 2 episodes back, he kind of reared up at her because she came and he said, look, I've told you, what do you want me to do? You want me to lie to you?
So, do you think Zadia is she? You think Zadia is uh sh- should she have just chosen herself?
She should have just chosen herself because what she wants right now is not what Cam wants right
Right,
now.
right.
And like you said, he tried every way he possibly could to tell her. And I think it was kind of, maybe selfless of him to say, and that's why I say I didn't see it as being a negative thing. I thought it was selfless of him saying, listen, you want something that I'm not ready to give you. And so if you're that adamant about what you want, then you should move in a different direction. But the thing is, Zadia should have come to that conclusion on her own. If she was not willing to sort of compromise with him in terms of even, trying to see how she could fit in his life as it is now, then
Mhm.
she should have chosen herself to say, no, I don't want to compromise. And I think everybody has, that prerogative to want what they want. But the downside of that is the other person may not be on the same page with you. And you can't force that.
Right,
And
right,
so you be willing to move in a different direction. If it's not for you, then move in a different direction. Because to your point, what you do is you stay long enough just to frustrate that person, and then it becomes ugly.
right, right. So the question remains then, if Cam was not ready, why did he even come on the show?
Well, that's what I don't understand. And see, and that's why I say the show is really not authentic, because I don't think they do a really good job of vetting these folks, because fully explain what the show is about and the time, because I don't think he realized the time that would be involved. And then you have to think, I think the difference too with this is, in the other version of Ready to Love, all of these people know what they sign up for in terms of the amount of time, the hours for filming and all that kind of stuff. And this
Mm,
is kind of lopsided, because you have one group, the women, who have obviously taken off from their jobs, right, to do this show. But you have these men who have their lives, you know, they continue as is. They have full-time jobs, they have commitments outside of this show. And so I don't know if that was just a disconnect with the producers, making sure that these men knew what they were signing up for. And then, with all of these shows, people come on these shows for different reasons, whether it's to just kind of get their brand out there, or,
right.
not necessarily looking for love. But and I just think that, we buy into it every time though. We buy into it
It's
every time.
yes, it's
You know
something to
what I'm saying?
talk about. It's something to, it's as they used to say, water cooler talk, but ain't
But
many
I
water
think
coolers out
but I
there now. But
but
go
I
ahead.
think we want to see true love. We want to see black love. I think we
Hmm.
we we have a strong desire to see that played out, in front of us.
True,
And
very
so we
true.
tune in hoping that we're really gonna see, even if it's one couple, because I think everybody loves that feel good story in terms of two good people getting together and connecting. And I think that's why we continue to tune in, because we really want to see it played out the right way, you
So,
know.
so that being said, do you think that this, even though this is not a natural setting, do you think this is has the best results as far as couples coming together than the original Ready to Love? Because this format gives it sort of gives women the advantage, but at the same time, more often than not, they get to walk away with a guy. Um, Same situation with there's another show out there called make the Love Experiment. All right, and they give all the women all the power. Okay, and at the end of the shows, at the end of both shows, all the ladies walk away with a guy. It makes for a more happy ending, because in the Ready to Love format, it's not always happy endings. As
Mm-mm.
a matter of
Mm.
fact, Ready to Love, that it sucks as far as seeing couples after the show. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they got anybody who was married out of all of the seasons that they've been on there. And one was close, and Simone and Rashid, and they called theirs off. So it's like, man, that the show sucks as far as making marriages work. Do you think this is more a format that's probably more susceptible to having a married couple, or no?
I think I like this format because we get to see two people kind of stay connected and move along, and I like this format a lot better because with that other format, even the way that the folks come together and immediately they get rid of two people, like they don't even have time, it
Hmm.
would appear, to make a genuine connection. Like, how do you? So I think they eliminate people too quickly on the other Ready to Love show.
Hmm.
Maybe if they just let it play out
Right,
and
right.
just let folks connect how they connect.
And just get rid of the elimination part of it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because then it becomes a competition, which is so, because then what people do is they just play to finish.
Hmm.
And because this last season of Ready to Love, nobody bought that any of those folks were together. That was just like, no, no.
Right,
What
right.
what was the little short guy who ended up with I can't even think of his name right now. But those
On what?
couples
On
that,
what? On last season or something?
yeah, Ready to Love. I can't think of his name right now, but he was one of the guys that got to the end. And in real life, it's like you wouldn't have imagined any of these people connecting with each other. So
Right,
maybe they
right.
just get rid of the whole every week just eliminating folks. And then with like Kat, I love Kat from the last season, but she got a late start, and I still don't even understand how those guys didn't. I still, you'll never make me understand how she.
I'm trying to tell you, Kat was my girl. I don't know how
Still
those
don't.
guys let her get away and slip through their fingers. That
I,
actually told me more about the men than it did anything else.
yeah,
Like y'all don't got good taste. Y'all don't know how to vet women. Kat is practically a Wonder Woman. Okay, she's a
yeah,
superhero. You
she
know,
really is. I really like her.
yeah, I did too, and I think that she probably came off a little bit too intimidating to a lot of the guys for whatever reasons, and those guys really just wasn't really on her level. Her guy wasn't there. I just put it that
No,
way.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. Her guy
yeah.
was
Her guy just wasn't there. And it seemed like these other ladies who got guys, they were like the villains. Who was it?
I know
It was
it was.
yeah, them chicks. I forgot their name, but
Yeah,
um it was a big girl. I forgot her name, and it was a
I
skinny
heard.
girl. But
Yeah,
no disrespect. I just can't remember their name. I try to block it out, but they they were really just bad girls. Oh, Janelle. Yeah, I think Janelle was one of them.
Janelle.
Yeah, and Janelle and her road dog, they were just, and they got to the end. It is what it
Yeah.
is, but those type of women are not, like, I think even after the show ended, they didn't continue with their relationship. And the guy that chose Janelle, was the gym rat guy. What, you remember his name?
Oh, see, I can't. I know you talking about. I can see his face, but I can't remember. Yeah, he was a
Quentin.
big.
Quentin. That's what his name was. Yeah, Quentin was just this brother, you remember that movie Get Out, right? I just think this guy was just, he was in the zone. He was a zombie making a whole bunch of questionable decisions,
Yeah.
and he didn't like the chocolate sister.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Oh, I know you. I can't. Oh, shucks. I know you're talking about. Yeah, I thought they were a better fit. I thought they were a better fit.
Yeah, but it turned out he don't like chocolate
What?
women. He's a
Yeah.
colorist,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to deal with that part of the game. So,
Exactly.
which is which is a damn shame because she was a brick house. She was
He
gorgeous.
was
Lee, that's who it was.
Lee.
Yeah,
I like Lee and Kat. I thought that they were, yeah,
top tier chicks, Lee and Kat. I had
yeah,
them on my list as the top women on the show.
yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I'm sure Lee got a guy way better than Quentin anyway. So
Oh, sure. I sure hope so because she dodged the bullet. She really she
she
dodged the bullet.
sure did dodge a bullet.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and was that the other season? I think that was the other season I'm thinking of.
What's
Uh,
that?
um, the short little guy and this other chick. Yeah, I think that was.
No, what was it? Mario
Oh yeah,
something.
yeah,
That
Mario.
that was this season with, yeah, that was.
Yeah, Mario. I don't know. I thought Mario was a good guy. Um, maybe he wasn't the
But
most
he was
appealing to
messy.
women physically,
He
but
was messy. He was so messy.
you
Oh
thought
my
so? You thought
God.
so?
Yes, he was way too messy for a guy. He was just too messy. He stayed in all the mess.
Yeah, yeah.
He was really.
What about Chris? You remember Chris?
Oh, I liked Chris.
There was Christopher and then there was Chris. So there
I
was
like.
light skinned Christopher and then there was short built Chris.
I like both of them. I
Okay.
really did. I like both of them. I thought Christopher was a tad bit misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chris also was misunderstood. I think those were two, I was hoping that Kat and Christopher would have connected because
Mm.
I thought they made a good couple. And I was hoping that Lee and Chris would have connected, but it just didn't
Yeah.
work out. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was a crazy season.
That was a crazy season.
I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with the next one. And maybe we can cover that one too. Um, Let me ask you, so she should have chose herself.
Yeah.
She clearly Zadish clearly should have chose herself. That's one I thought at least should have chose herself. What did you think about Ashley choosing Don?
She should have chosen herself too and went
What?
the
Really?
closest straight to the closest therapist because
Wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Ashley, ooh, red flags, all episode long with Ashley.
Mm.
Just, just Ashley does.
Yeah,
She
tell
does.
me more. But so
She
she
does.
needs a therapist before she needs to date. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. She, Ashley comes across, or she tries to come across like she's the victim. But then Ashley was very rude
Mm.
to Don. I would almost say kind of mean to Don. There were moments where she was mean to him, like the
Mm.
episode on the park bench. The way she talked to him, the way she talked down to him. I think they were sitting across from each other. It was like they were at a bench, like right after the.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I I,
So
I think she said she would smack the crap out of him when they were sitting down at that bench, or like
yes,
something to that nature. Like I will smack the crap out of you or something like that.
so
I was like,
she,
what?
she shows up as one way, but then there's another side to Ashley. There's
Yeah.
another side to Ashley, and there's a lot of masculine energy with Ashley. There's
Mm.
just there's a lot, but then you also have this mask, the glasses, the nails, the lashes, the makeup,
Hmm.
everything is just it's so much. Like she wears me out like watching her on TV. because it's just so much. It's like, girl,
Yeah.
sit down, like bring it down. But then you think about Don, kind of the same thing. He's sort of like that calm and tight
Mhm.
energy that you would think that she would need, but then at the same time, Ashley is just so much.
She
She's
is.
just
She's a lot to contend with. Her
she's a lot.
personality is big. Is very big. It takes over the room, and you have to be a Don type. I actually think Don is a good match for Ashley, but the problem is she thinks she too good for Don. She
Exactly.
really thinks she too good for Don. Like she wasn't pulling all of that stuff with Kirsten. With Kirsten, yeah,
Exactly.
she was treating them with respect and she was giving them all kind of chances. Don, he do one little thing and she just over the wall with it, and just I did not like the way she treats Don,
Mm-mm.
but I think Don is what she needs. And sometimes, and this goes for men and women, sometimes what we want is not what we need.
That's true.
Okay. So and a lot of people don't really recognize that. They just want what they want. Well, you wanted Kirsten, but Kirsten ain't what you needed. You
No.
need Don, but Don ain't what you wanted.
Exactly.
You see?
Exactly.
So that's how I look at Ashley. She's just very she just with Don, she and this is the thing, I just don't think she's ever gonna treat this guy with the respect that he deserves. Now he gotta start sticking his chest out and say it with his chest. As a guy, I also think that about Maurice too. There's going to be times when Maurice going to have to, calm Charisse down because she can be a lot. Ashley can be a lot. Zadia can be a lot. All those women can be a lot. Um, but
See, Zadia is very passive. If you notice, like she'll say something and then she'll laugh, like she'll chuckle.
mhm.
But it's always like that little that she does. And so Zadia, hers comes out a different way. And Zadia switched it up this season because of course we know how she was on Ready to Love. She was kind of like always kind of in your
Yeah,
face.
she was in that dude's face pointing and this, that, and the third. I was gonna choose your ass and this,
Exactly.
that, and the third. And it was
But
like,
they
what?
all have that, like they all have it. Like they
Right.
Ashley puts on that, that mask, that
Mm-hmm.
whole, you know, she
That
plays a victim and she tries to be like she's nice to everybody, but really she's not. And she does the most. If you notice, when everybody was going into the room, she's at the door listening. That's what kids do. Like, why are you
right,
acting like that? And the
right.
same thing with Sharice. We all know that, it's right there. It's just waiting to pop out. And Zani is very sort of, to me, she's very sort of passive aggressive with hers. She'll say slick stuff, but she'll follow it up with a smile or she'll giggle a little bit. But it's like, well, you still said what you said, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that Ashley should have chosen herself. She didn't really like Don. And to your point, that's why she was able to treat Don the way that she did. And even she kept bringing up the whole thing with the text messages. And he said, well, I did. I text you. But she kept giving Kirsten chance after chance after chance.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't have to go through all that, and not for nothing. When Don texted her, some of the messages wasn't coming through. It wasn't his fault. He did not know that they weren't. She wasn't getting them.
Right. And
So
here's another thing that I don't understand with these women. So if you connect with the guy, and this is a problem that I had with Bernicia, with the whole, well, it's been all day since I've heard from you. Well, it goes both ways. Why
exactly.
could you have reached out? Say, for instance, if you're communicating, like you meet somebody and y'all, I mean, you're not necessarily like jailed in a true relationship, but you are communicating. And if you know that this person has this pattern of hitting you up, and it's like, okay, well, I noticed that something could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Something could have
Mm-hmm.
happened. So what's the
Right.
problem with just reaching out and say, hey, hadn't heard from you. Is everything okay? But it was just so weird that these women, they just fell back and they expected these guys to do everything. But I'm sitting here going, but you're the one person. So see, that's why I'm saying it was out of order, because women aren't natural pursuers or natural chasers or natural hunters, but they put them in that role.
Right.
And but you're in the role of the person who's supposed to be
Be the
doing
chooser.
the,
Yeah, to be the
yeah.
chooser.
So
And so, yeah, but
but
you
you
still want to
expect
lay back and be,
wrong.
you can't be both. You can't be
You
both
can't
the
be
chooser pursuer and still expect everything to come your way. A hunter goes after people,
exactly.
he
But
goes
you see
after
why
stuff.
that
So,
that's why I say the show is lopsided. It's upside down, because you're putting women in roles that it's not natural, and they expected of these guys what they should have been doing.
right, right. And I was going to ask you about Vernisha too. Um, Overall, what did you think about her choosing herself?
I think she should have chosen herself, because I don't think Bernicia is ready either. I think Bernicia thinks that she has an idea of what she wants, but eventually you'll see that that's not really what Vernisha wants. Vernisha came on this show saying she was a homemaker, she was a
Right.
this, she was a that, she was all of those things, right? So we were thinking, oh, Jabari, perfect match. But then
Mm,
Liz came on the show, and Liz said,
mm,
who
mm.
he is.
Yeah, he ain't it, sis. He ain't it.
No, because
And,
she knew
and let me
they.
tell you, I
Mm,
think that Liz is not too far from this decision either. I think that I think that Vern had been talking to Liz, and Liz helped her make this decision with Tabari just as much as she did with Jabari. I think Liz is in the background in Vern's ear and making her dismiss all these guys. Now I don't got no proof behind that, but she liked Tabari. She liked Tabari. She liked a lot of things about Tabari. It just don't make sense for her to get rid of him. Now, I would say for all of that, why didn't you stay with Jabari? Why didn't you stay
exactly.
with him? Well, no, I need time. And this is what kills me, okay? And I'm gonna just keep it real. This is what kills me about a lot of women. They want a guy who is a businessman or somebody who that's the whole reason she got rid of Jabari. Oh, you home too much. You ain't vacationing around. Her Liz came on and said, we business women. What, you need to stay up with our lifestyle and all this, that, and the third. So she got with a guy who is a businessman, Tabari, okay? But now all of a sudden he ain't got time. He ain't communicating with me, this, that, and the third. Which one is it? You cannot have both worlds. Okay,
Exactly.
this man, if this man is as busy as you like, then that means he ain't got time to be texting you 50 going north every day. He got business to take care of. Which one is the priority? Because right now you playing with everybody because you're not being decisive as to what you are asking for and what you want. You
It's
could have
true.
had either one of these guys, and they both matched up with you pretty well. You have fun with both Jabari and Tabari, but you're canceling each of them out for for the
That's what
for opposing reasons, and it doesn't make any sense.
she's a walking contradiction. She is a
Exactly.
walking contradiction, because you had two guys that Jabari fit what she came on the show and initially said that she wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
then Liz comes up, and then she switches gears and she goes for Tabari. And it's like, okay, so, and I think both of the guys were just confused. And because I'm confused too, because I'm just as confused as they are. And to your point, just the same thing with Zani. If she wants somebody to take care of her, there's a trade-off. You cannot, to your point, if you want a guy to take care of you and you want to lay back and be taken care of, the guy has to work. And I'm not sure what Vernisha wanted. I'm not sure what else she wanted from Tabari, because you know it makes me think about, you know why does Vernisha need all of this attention? Why does
Right.
Vernisha need all of this texting and touching base and this, that, and the other? And, everybody's talked about the way that Vernisha dresses and everything. And I think that's part of this need for attention and, this, that, and the other. And so what she says, it doesn't line up with what she does. It doesn't even line up with how she conducts herself and how she shows up in the world. And I think Tabari said something that was very interesting about her, and I've noticed it too, that Bernicia doesn't go deep. Bernicia, her conversation is very surface level. Bernicia doesn't really have a lot to say at all. Most of these women didn't have a lot to say at
Right.
all. So
Right.
the guys were put in a position in many, many ways to do a lot of carrying on the dates. Even with Tabari, when he took her out for I guess when they went out for the tour of the city and everything. I mean, Bernicia didn't do much on that day. She kind of sat back and he did everything, but he made the point too that she had walls up, and it's like it's a two-way street. It's give and take. So I'm not sure what else she wanted um from Tabar. And I think he was really, really stunned, because he sat there on that sofa, and I don't think that was him acting. I really do think, and I felt sorry for him. The way that she handled him, I thought it was very cold and dismissive. But
Exactly.
yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. That one of the things that really disappointed me about Vern is how she was so cold about it. Like I would have probably expected that from any other the other chicks. She was one of my favorites on the show,
yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
And when
I
it
like.
came when it came down to it, she acted the coldest of all of it. And I was like, how does my favorite like acting like this? Like she was all you didn't call or text me and you expect me to still pick you, and then just I was like, what, this is a different person. I am told, like, if I'm Tabari, I'm sitting on the couch for because I gotta process none of this is making sense to me either. The
No.
guy, he cooked for her. The guy brung her roses. He took her on a whole, some dates, some decent dates, showed her the city. He couldn't have been more of a gentleman. He was forward thinking. I thought he had a pretty high woman or female IQ as far as knowing what women like and what women want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he still had a business to run. He's a pillar in his community. He still got things to do. So
Mm-hmm.
you want him to text you 50 going north? This is my prediction. I don't know this for a fact, but I think she was getting attention from somebody else. I think she probably was even getting attention from Jabari. I think she was getting attention from Jabari. Now, I seen on the clip on the reunion that the host said, "Do you want or do you have any regrets with Jabari?" And she said no, right? And that's all fine and that because I often find that women don't have no regrets when they make a decision, even if it's the wrong decision, they don't have no regrets. It's like, no,
No.
I don't regret, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I think that, in some instances it's a true, I made the right decision, and you know there are no regrets. And in other instances, and I think it's human nature. You tell yourself you don't have any regrets when honestly, when you look back, you probably do because you see where, you made a decision that was probably not the best decision. And but see, Vernisha to me, she requires a lot of attention. She requires a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just look at the way she dresses. That tells me she's a
Wow.
woman requires a lot of attention.
Let it all spill out, don't she?
Yeah, yeah, all of it. And it doesn't have to. She's a beautiful woman. Now, because of her body type, I get it. I mean, very few things that she would put on. It's like you're not gonna not notice her body,
Right.
but I still think that there's still a way to dress. There's
Right.
just still a way to, and there's a time and a place, and it's just when you get to be she's 42, she's 42,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to be at some point. Aren't you tired of, like, because okay, some of the attention that she's getting, it may be a guy that's really like looking past all of that and would really want to get to know her. But how do you, in the early stages, how do you even decipher that? Because you have so much attention coming to you, and it's almost like, that she feeds off of that. Like, I don't know if it's an adrenaline, I don't know what it is, but it's just that we didn't see any other side of Renisha. And I think that Renisha is a very sweethearted person. I really do think that she is, which is why the way she dealt with um
Tabari.
Tabar was I was disappointed. The interaction that she had with his mom. She knows this guy comes from, a good family. His mom was so sweet, and the interaction that she had. So I didn't understand, but I don't think that she was ever into him. I don't think that she was
Yeah, I
ever.
don't. I don't either. I don't think she was ever into him either. She was probably more physically attracted to Mizell, believe it or not.
She
Um, but
she was.
but okay, so she got rid of him because he didn't communicate. Who watching the show think that this guy don't like her? Everybody watching the show can see this guy smiling from ear to ear every time he's in her presence.
Mhm.
Now, just because a lot of guys are just not phone guys, they're not phone guys. I do believe in communicating. Don't get me wrong, but again, communication is a two-way street, and and the same thing went for Ashley too, when she was complaining about that with Don. It is a two-way street. I always think that communication thing is a bit of a I don't understand that. Okay, I was once with a chick, a young lady. Okay, she texts me every day of the week. And I'm not saying that to look a certain type of way. She texts me every day of the week. I didn't even get a chance to text her. Okay, if you want communication, it's a two-way street. She
Mhm.
wanted to communicate, and I communicated back with her every single time. It's not like if you're sending a text and it's not getting answered, then that's a different story. See what
Mhm.
I'm saying? But if you're putting forth the ever if communication is your thing and your love language is time or whatever it is or quality time, then put in some of that work to get there. You can't be the chooser and the predictor and a hunter, like we said, and still be sitting back in a prey sort of way. You can't be both. That's
No.
why I think they do need to change it to the men having the power. But the problem with that is that's not going to get ratings.
Yeah, I know.
Um, yeah, women going
But
all these pick me's. I don't like this show no more. It's a whole bunch of pick me. So that show would fall on its face due to I guess you could say the sort of the feminist type of mentality that a lot of ladies unfortunately have. One last thing. What do you think about the Zadia and Sharice? Because Sharice blew up at the reunion. What were your thoughts about that?
I just thought that was so petty. I
Yeah,
just, it was clearly they did not get along. And I think the host and Tamika, I think they spent too much time on that. That was petty all the way around. I think it
hmm
was it was just too much. Um, I think that Zadia and Sharice, they just have some growing up to do. They
yeah,
really a lot of growing up to do because this is a what 36, 38 year old woman and a 44-year-old woman sitting there acting like that. I
yeah. I
I
agree. I agree, and I think that both. I think Sharice needs some couch time, some therapy. I think Zadia needs some couch time, therapy. I think all the ladies, to be honest, on some form of level. But I'm always gonna wish everybody the best, even the men, and hope they find what they're looking for. But at the end of the day, I just think it was petty as well. People need to know themselves and reevaluate themselves before they start looking for love and stop spreading all this trauma and drama onto other people when you're not ready with yourself and you got
mhm.
all kind of issues, but we'll leave it at that for this episode, and we'll get back into it next time. uh, Thanks for joining us. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Let them know. Yo, say peace.
Peace.
All right. All right. Talk to y'all later.